Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are not just analyzing sources, we're tearing open a narrative that feels like the opening sequence of a really dark, high-stakes psychological thriller.
It really does. Our mission today is to plunge deep into this material, and it's all about this disastrous adventure.
Right, undertaken by four friends who are, let's be honest, deeply fractured.
Yeah.
And it's all centered around this mysterious, ancient relic called the Blackwood Monument.
And it's a profound exploration of human failure under supernatural stress. The sources we have, they're a series of narrative excerpts chronicling this whole journey.
And what do they show us?
They show us that the true horror here is, well, it's twofold. You have the ancient malevolent power of the forest, for sure.
The obvious monster.
The obvious monster, exactly. But then you have the decades of unresolved conflict and betrayal that these friends drag into the wilderness with them. It's a huge credit to the writer, Swapnil, that these two things are so tightly woven together.
Absolutely. So we're tracking Alfred, who is sort of the architect of this whole catastrophe. His motivation is so personal.
It's all personal.
He is absolutely desperate to shed the reputation that, dogs him. He's tired of being the map maker.
The dreamer, the guy whose adventures only happen on paper.
Yes, on coffee-stained paper. He needs validation. He needs to finally step into the controversial, pretty eccentric legacy of his grandfather, Edward Carraway.
And that desperation, that need for external validation, that's the detonator. Alfred's single invitation. It's just a message. Who's up for an adventure? I've got a lead on something big. Chapter 1 sets the scene perfectly. Alfred's cramped apartment. It's not just messy, it's this organized chaos.
Right, the descriptions are great. The orange light spilling through smudged windows, the dust motes dancing.
It speaks to a man who is so focused on the internal world of his research that he barely even notices the real world outside. His worn, coffee-stained oak desk is like the battleground between his present and his grandfather's secrets.
It's the habitat of a man on the cusp of either a huge breakthrough or just complete failure.
And the centerpiece of this whole obsession is his grandfather's journal, this leather-bound book from Edward Carraway.
And Edward was, what, an eccentric historian.
An adventurer.
All the above. Brilliant, maybe a little mad, definitely controversial. He chased mysteries that the establishment just dismissed. So for Alfred, this journal is more than a map. It's proof that his own obsession is justified.
It's his inheritance.
It is. And the clue inside it is so evocative. You've got these intricate sketches of the monument drawn with this almost fanatical attention to detail. But the real key, the thing that pushes Alfred forward.
It's the inscription he finally deciphers. The gate to what is hidden shall open when the shadow aligns with truth.
Wow. That is heavy. That sounds less like a map clue and more like a philosophical command.
Exactly.
Wait, the journal wasn't just descriptive. It had the actual key. How did Alfred know that the symbol with it, the circle bisected by an arrow, was the real trigger?
Well, that's the brilliant part of the narrative. He didn't know for sure, but he felt it. The symbol is described as seeming to, pulse with this dark, mysterious meaning.
Intuition.
An intuition born of pure obsession. It's his confirmation that he's unlocking something huge, something that might finally make him more than just the map maker. This is his ticket.
But the moment he sends that invitation, he drags 3 other people into this obsession with him. People with some serious baggage.
Oh, serious baggage.
This trip was just destined for conflict, wasn't it? It seems like Alfred's success had become this unspoken metric by which everyone else in the group felt like they were failing.
100%. Let's look at Mark first, because his conflict is just pure debilitating envy. The source material talks about this deep-seated rivalry that's masked by a shallow, forced smirk.
He feels invisible.
Totally invisible. Constantly measured against Alfred's supposed raw brilliance.
And the narrative gives us that small, visceral example to really nail down this resentment. The go-kart incident. Can we just pause on that for a second?
We absolutely should. It's the perfect microcosm of their entire relationship.
It's so telling.
The source describes Mark doing hours of grueling work. The sawing, the sanding, the painting, all the technical labor. He was the one putting in the actual physical effort.
But when it came time to show it off,
Alfred, with his natural charm and this magnetic presence, just effortlessly soaked up all the praise. He got all the public credit.
and that detail is so crucial because it shows the resentment isn't about some big intellectual thing. It's about recognition. It's about ego.
Right. Mark misses the bond they used to have, but he is terrified of being the sidekick forever. The footnote to Alfred's story.
So his decision to go on this adventure, It's not about finding the monument.
No, it's a desperate need to confront or even surpass the person who has probably unknowingly defined his entire emotional existence. He needs Alfred to fail, or he needs to succeed where Alfred can't.
That's a heavy weight to carry into the woods.
Yeah.
So then we have Sarah. The source calls her full of weary cynicism. If she knows Alfred betrayed her before, why on earth does she agree to go?
It's a great question. Her hesitation is rooted in a really severe past betrayal. The sources detail how Alfred basically stole credit for a major failed project they'd worked on together.
She put her heart into it.
Poured her heart into it, sacrificed sleep, time, everything. And then Alfred gets lauded as the visionary, and she's just left feeling invisible. Burned. She paid the price for trusting him once.
So her struggle is this internal war between the thrill of the chase
Which she used to love.
and this self-protective cynicism she's built up like a wall around herself. That one invitation just awakens this terrible battle inside her. Should she risk it again? Or just let the resentment keep festering?
She's questioning if she can reclaim her own agency from under the shadow of Alfred's charisma.
And finally, David. He carries his grief, the text says, like a shield.
David is the rawest nerve in the whole group.
For sure. Because his irritation with this whole quest is all tangled up with this desperate, painful intrigue, the persistent poisonous rumors that link Alfred to his sister's tragic accident have never healed.
So he's walking into this incredibly volatile situation because he's caught in an impossible bind. He wants answers. He desperately wants the truth about that accident.
But he's terrified of what that truth might actually be.
Exactly. The trip isn't an adventure for him. It's forced proximity with the one person he blames and, at the same time, desperately needs answers from. He's gambling everything on this trip to find closure.
Even though he knows the outcome could just shatter whatever fragile peace he's managed to build for himself.
So you have 4 people, all moving toward this ancient, malevolent stone, and each one is carrying their own psychological weapon that's just waiting to be deployed.
Envy, cynicism, obsession, and trauma. It really makes their history the 5th and maybe most dangerous character in this story.
And that emotional intensity is the fuel that the Blackwood Monument is inevitably going to consume.
So after all that tension in the setup, the narrative gives us the payoff, their arrival.
Yeah.
And the shift from psychological drama to full-blown horror is immediate. It's visceral.
Absolutely. The monument is presented as this terrifying character in the landscape. It's described as a forgotten titan, a grotesque silhouette against a storm gray sky.
That imagery just immediately sets the stage for malevolence. This is not some quaint, charming ruin.
No, it's built of these massive scarred stone walls. Some are smooth from centuries of erosion, but others are jagged, as if they're trying to bite into the very air itself.
And this is the detail that's truly unnerving.
The ancient runes. They're carved deep into the stone, and they don't sit still. They seem to shift subtly in the corners of your vision, pulsing with this dark, magnetic energy. It's immediately clear this thing is aware of them.
And the atmosphere is just as physical as the stone itself. They get hit with a suffocating chill.
It sinks right into their bones like the monument just exhaled this icy breath. The whole environment is in active decay.
Right, the vibrant forest they drove through is gone. It's withered into this sickly shade of gray. And the trees are described as twisted sentinels, like they're standing guard.
And the air is thick with this unshakable odor of decay, like wet earth and something anciently dead.
The sources even emphasize that the shadows themselves are not passive. They're no longer just simple refractions of light.
No, the sunlight filters through like pale fingers, casting these long, jagged shadows that twist and writhe unnaturally. They look alive, crawling across the forest floor. It's a complete violation of natural law.
And it confirms all those local warnings they dismissed. Old Man Jenkins's grim prophecy comes flooding back.
That stone is older than time itself. It's a heart of darkness, sucking the life from the land. The monument is literally validating the paranoid ramblings of a hermit.
It's fascinating how quickly Alfred's intellectual excitement just crumbles the moment he's faced with the monument's true, grotesque reality.
His excitement is instantly smothered by a creeping dread. The monument is now monstrous in his eyes. He's the explorer, but the reality of this power is utterly overwhelming him.
And you see the contrast in the others. Mark, always trying to be in control, masks his fear with this intense stillness.
He's outwardly composed, face like a mask of indifference, but Alfred can feel the tension. He describes it as a wire-stretched taut, threatening to snap. His eyes are darting around nervously, betraying the severe unease that's building inside him.
And the forest is already challenging his leadership role.
Completely. Then you have David, who is the most physically reactive, which makes perfect sense given his internal state. The sheer weight of the monument seems to be pressing down on him physically.
Jaw clenched, hands twitching.
Right, ready to just explode. The atmosphere isn't just amplifying his inner turmoil, it's physically manifesting it.
But Sarah is the real anomaly here, which suggests her role in all this is unique.
It does. Unlike the others, who are just paralyzed by dread or agitation, she feels an undeniable pull. It's a magnetic presence that's less terrifying and more compelling.
She feels the ground beneath her pulse with an eerie rhythm.
Yes, and she perceives the trees not as silent observers, but as entities that are actively listening, watching, and waiting. It implies she has some kind of primal connection to the monument's energy.
And as if the environment wasn't a big enough warning, the first true omen appears.
A bird.
A bird, dark as midnight itself, flitting silently between the trees. And the moment it arrives, all other sound just vanishes. They name it Sight.
Sight is instantly unnerving because of its sheer unnatural presence. The pitch-black feathers gleam ominously, but its eyes are the real terror.
Wide, hollow, and unnaturally bright.
Exactly, locking onto them as if it's peering into their deepest secrets. It has this unnerving intelligence studying them one by one before it focuses exclusively on Alfred.
So it's not just a bird, it's a sentient harbinger. A silent judgment that confirms the monument has already selected its target and its guide.
And Alfred, driven by that mix of curiosity and fear, is immediately compelled to move toward it, almost against his will. The air grows thick, charged with unspoken tension. They're standing at the threshold of a living nightmare, and the door has just been opened.
The moment of rupture comes in Chapter 4. Alfred just vanishes.
The monument's magnetic pull proves too strong. It draws him deep into the undergrowth. He feels detached, ghost-like, pushing forward, drawn only by the haunting primal cry of that bird, Sight.
And Sarah immediately sees evidence that this wasn't just him wandering off.
No, she notices a strange symbol carved into a tree's bark, the very same circle bisected by an arrow from his grandfather's journal.
So he wasn't lost, he was activated.
Called. He was called by something ancient and specific, something that went way beyond his own control.
And his vanishing act instantly triggers the full psychological breakdown of the other three. This is where the narrative really shines, because the forest proves it doesn't need physical monsters yet.
Not at all. It just needs to reflect and amplify their own existing trauma. It becomes a psychological mirror.
Let's start with Mark, because his loss of control is just absolute. He always prided himself on being the leader.
And with Alfred gone, his control just slips away. He masks his fear with anger, proclaiming, he'll be back, but you can tell it's hollow. Internally, he's drowning in desperation. This chaos is a direct assault on his need for order.
The silence of the forest is just mocking his helplessness.
And Sarah's reaction is dominated by guilt and doubt. She's scanning the trees, haunted by the thought, what if we pushed him too far?
The narrative says memories of their past fights just flood back.
Yeah, stoking the fear that her resentment, the pressure they all put on him, contributed directly to whatever just happened. She's grappling with the horrible idea that their actions played a part in his disappearance.
And David, the keeper of grief, has the most volatile reaction.
Of course. Initially, he feels this dark, momentary satisfaction. The group dynamic, which always revolved around Alfred, is finally broken.
But that's quickly replaced by fear.
And awe, really, of Alfred's recklessness. He offers this cold suggestion saying Alfred doesn't want to be found, but it's clear he's just using that coldness to mask the fact that he's deeply afraid.
He's confronting his own limitations.
As they press deeper into the search, the environment really solidifies its role as an active, conscious enemy. The forest undergoes a dark transformation, shifting from a sanctuary to a suffocating prison.
The scent of pine is replaced by a foul perfume, sickness and decay.
And the forest starts weaponizing their senses, targeting their specific vulnerabilities. For Sarah, it's sensory overload. She starts hearing low, murmuring voices.
Ancient and incomprehensible.
Like a soft chant. And these whispers feel like a physical presence wrapping around her thoughts, trying to communicate something terrifyingly old. The attack is happening inside her mind.
Mark's descent into paranoia is visually terrifying. It attacks his reliance on logic and navigation.
The trails he thought he knew now twist impossibly, leading him in circles. The trees shift and writhe. Their bark starts to look like faces with hollow eyes watching him.
He has to question his own sanity. Is the forest really alive?
It directly targets his need for rational control. And David's torment is purely internal, but it's reflected externally in a way that targets his guilt over his sister.
The trees look like ghostly figures.
Reaching out to claim him. When he grabs a piece of rough bark for support, he sees a horrifying familiar face in it, a face that reflects his own overwhelming guilt.
The forest is using their innermost torment, their unique psychological baggage, as its primary weapon.
And the central theme of this whole descent is the inescapable pull. The Blackwood Monument is described as a dark magnet, just drawing them deeper and deeper into this maze.
The forest is feeding on their fear.
Turning their psychological baggage into their physical reality, making it impossible to distinguish where the forest ends and their own trauma begins. They're not fighting the environment, they're fighting the worst parts of themselves.
This marks a clear pivot point. We move from this personalized psychological horror into a large-scale ancient mythology.
Right, as Sarah, drawn by this pale flicker of light, stumbles upon these mystical guardians beings that are called the person.
And the description is breathtaking. It's foundational to the lore. These are not just wise old hermits.
Not at all. They are draped in living leaves and moss. Their skin is a rich twilight shade, and their eyes are luminous, gleaming with this otherworldly radiance. They are in complete harmony with the forest,
A blend of the natural and supernatural.
immediately conveying this ancient, connected power. And the oldest one, a woman who looks like she could be from the dawn of time, steps forward to give this profound revelation about who they are.
She says, "We are the person. We are the heart of the forest, the breath of the earth made flesh."
We are the guardians, but also its whispers, its dreams, its waking thoughts.
Which confirmed Sarah's earlier uncanny feeling that the ground was pulsing with life.
This entity is the literal embodiment of the forest's consciousness. They aren't just protecting a sacred space, they are the space. And that's a critical distinction. It raises the stakes from just saving a friend to potentially destroying a sentient, ancient life form.
And then comes the huge revelation about the stone itself, delivered with this profound gravity.
The elder woman states, "The monument is a gate. It is a memory, an archive of the forest's heart."
So Alfred is lost within its echoes, caught in the rhythm of time and space.
If the monument is an archive, what kind of memories does it hold? It's not just a portal to another place, it's a portal into the past, into the primordial history of the earth.
So Alfred isn't just physically lost. He's mentally and temporally trapped in the collective memory of this ancient thing.
The stakes are immense, and the person gives this sorrowful warning. They speak of humanity forgetting the language of the earth, believing they're separate from the world, and by doing so, endangering it.
And they confirm the forest isn't just angry. It is actively weeping.
Which implies this incredible sorrow and pain that the monument's activation has caused. The goal is no longer just saving Alfred, it's about restoring harmony to this profoundly wounded, conscious entity.
Yet even with this cosmic existential threat looming over them, the internal conflict among the friends doesn't stop.
No, they're physically drained, they're weak, and their bond is unraveling at the edges from the mental strain. The cosmic stakes have not cured their petty jealousies.
We see the raw, bickering surface almost immediately after this revelation. Mark bitterly blames Sarah for a detour.
His voice is rough like sandpaper, accusing her of delaying their progress. And Sarah immediately retorts that Mark was being reckless in the first place, citing his past disregard for planning.
They're arguing about the most trivial things while a sentient forest is trying to consume them.
And David, who's always the reluctant moral compass, steps in, saying they're all responsible, but the damage is done. The fragile unity is cracking, making them easy prey.
And here we get that powerful narrative tool. The flashback to the old quarry incident. This isn't just a random memory. It surfaces now to illustrate their core failings.
Right. It was a hot summer day. Mark was the daredevil climbing the crumbling rocks. Sarah was frozen in fear at the bottom.
And it was David, cool-headed and steady, who had to climb up and rescue Mark from the icy water below.
That memory highlights their complex, fractured roles. Mark, the reckless egoist, Sarah, the frightened bystander, David, the accidental savior, and it underscores how those old, failed roles are actively failing them in this new environment.
The forest immediately intensifies the tension. The air grows thick, watching them, twisting their thoughts into something darker.
They're no longer just friends or enemies. The source material says they are something else, something that the forest had created from their fears, their regrets, and their desires.
They are the walking manifestations of their own failure.
And this is the critical turning point of the entire narrative. The extreme, suffocating pressure of this living forest acts as a catalyst, forcing a profound internal change.
The old coping mechanisms, the masks of envy, fear, and grief, they just fail entirely.
It's the moment they realize that the fight outside cannot be won until they win the battle inside. Mark's transformation is stunning. His consuming rage, which was based on his insecurity and envy of Alfred, is completely spent.
It's replaced by an unsettling clarity.
In a primal instinct to just endure, to protect. His fury is now tempered by this quiet, stronger acceptance of the immediate fight ahead. He stops fighting Alfred's shadow and starts fighting the actual enemy.
He shifts from being defined by what Alfred has to being defined by what he does.
Precisely, and Sarah's shift is equally powerful. She moves from vulnerability to strength. Her fear, which stemmed from past betrayals and feeling fragile, it just unravels into quiet resolve.
She no longer sees herself as the scared woman waiting for a rescue.
She realizes survival is about the mind, and she determines, I am more than this fear, more than the things I've lost. She finds this steady, determined strength she didn't know she had.
And David achieves a profound measure of internal redemption. His paralyzing rage turns cold, but his all-consuming grief over his sister shifts entirely.
It settles inside him like a heavy cloak, something he can live with, no longer something that rules him. He finds a sliver of resolve, this terrifying mantra that focuses his energy. My sister is gone, but I am not.
So his loss is still there, but it's become a manageable weight. It's fueling his purpose instead of paralyzing him.
And this internal transformation immediately results in an unexpected, if temporary, unity. Despite all the pain, they find this unexpected solace and fragile trust in their shared vulnerability.
The armor of pride and fear crumbles. They realize they're this fragile yet unyielding unit, bound together by circumstance. They're moving from fractured individuals to a focused team.
And that collective strength is immediately put to the test as they start the final search. Sarah, now steady and resolute, leads the way. She's driven by the cryptic map that seems to pulse with an eerie life.
Her newfound resolve is validated by her ability to read the signs that Alfred's obsession had only, scratched the surface of.
Meanwhile, the environment escalates its warnings. They hear a faint, desperate plea for help echoing through the trees, which spurs them forward.
But the guide, sight, becomes frenzied and unpredictable. Its flight path is jagged, it's veering from side to side.
It's acting like it's lost, or worse, like it's warning them they are walking into a trap set by something far darker than the Guardians.
They find a brief, cruel moment of hope when they stumble upon a clearing with this massive, gnarled tree at the center, its trunk glowing with an otherworldly glow.
It feels like the sanctuary, the moment of salvation they desperately needed after their transformations.
But the narrative instantly reminds them of the cruelty of this place. The tree's center is hollow.
Dark and empty, a tomb, not a sanctuary. It's a moment of just crushing disappointment, confirming that false hope is another weapon wielded by the forest.
It increases the urgency, because they realize the environment is actively manipulating their hope.
As they press on, the atmosphere becomes absolutely electric, thick with an unseen force. The forest is vibrating with ancient power, acutely aware of their presence.
They are no longer sneaking through. They are directly challenging the living entity that resides in the Blackwood Monument.
Every sign, the desperate cry, Sight's frantic warning, the vibrating earth, suggest they are seconds away from their destiny.
The climax arrives in two devastating stages. The reunion, followed immediately by the final, overwhelming confrontation.
The relief is palpable when they finally find Alfred. He's frail, but miraculously he's alive. Sarah's medical training takes over. Mark maintains this rigid vigilance.
And David shows raw, unmistakable emotion. A sob catches in his throat. Their fragile, transformed bond is instantly unshakable.
But that relief is instantly shattered by Alfred's terrifying whisper. His eyes are burning with an unsettling clarity. It suggests he gained some profound, dangerous knowledge from whatever horrors he endured inside the monument's archive.
And his revelation confirms their worst fear.
It's not just a monument, it's a gateway. He didn't just find a relic, he found a portal, and his presence has forced it open.
At the same time, Sight, the Dark Harbinger, delivers its final, dangerous warning.
Its melody shifts from comforting to this mournful, high-pitched wail, an undercurrent of unease that speaks directly to Sarah's mind. It confirms it's not a friendly guide, but a sentient alarm, a death knell.
And the environment immediately responds, initiating the collapse. The temperature plummets, it turns bitterly cold.
And the vibrant green of the surrounding forest just darkens violently, rotting from the inside out. The force is no longer just watching, it is alive, and it is actively closing in.
drawing the suffocating darkness around them like a shroud.
And the ultimate betrayal is revealed. The person, their former guide, who spoke of harmony and weakening, transforms into an abomination. Twisted and contorted, its eyes glowing with this unnatural light.
They are no longer fighting guardians of the earth.
They're fighting a monstrous reflection of the malevolent, pain-fueled force that controls this dying forest.
And the battle begins against the entire environment, not against a single foe. This is total conflict.
Trees lash out with branches like whips. The ground trembles and shifts to intentionally trap them, swallowing their feet in mud and root systems.
The forest itself is a living, defensive entity, and it's feeding on their residual fear, making every focused blow they land seem useless.
But despite the overwhelming odds, the friends fight with the ferocious clarity born from their recent psychological awakening.
Sarah fights with unexpected ferocity. Her mind is sharp and steady, using her determination as a shield.
And Mark, now fueled by rage that's been channeled into brutal efficiency, becomes this whirlwind of focused violence, using his newfound instinct for protection.
And David, his grief now a heavy but controllable cloak, fights with a quiet, unshakable resolve.
His loss has become his most focused weapon, turning his fear into cold competence. He's not fighting for closure anymore. He's just fighting to survive this moment alongside his friends.
But the source material makes it devastatingly clear. Their courage is not enough against an ancient planetary power. It is a losing battle.
The monument, once a symbol of hope and Alfred's legacy, is revealed as the heart of the forest, the central anchor of its dark power. In their attempt to solve the riddle of Alfred's grandfather, they inadvertently awakened the forest's soul.
And that soul is hostile.
The final visual is harrowing. The overwhelming darkness closes in, trapping the group. They just see the monument's jagged silhouette against the suffocating void.
The stark, chilling conclusion is inescapable. There's no room for a sequel or a last-minute rescue.
The forest had won.
The narrative crafted by Swapnil is just a masterclass in synthesis. It moves so fluidly between this existential horror and deeply relatable psychological pain.
It really does. It summarizes the core themes perfectly. The ultimate agonizing test of friendship, the devastating price of chasing a controversial legacy, and the terrifying concept of an actively malevolent natural environment.
But the real insight, the one we extract from this deep dive, is the function of their emotional baggage.
Exactly. The emotional descent in Chapter 5 proved that the forests ruthlessly exploited their psychological weaknesses. The true battle was internal, and only by achieving that internal unity could they stand a chance, however fleeting, against the ancient power.
And that transformation mark, shedding his petty rivalry, Sarah overcoming her self-doubt, and David finding a way to manage his paralyzing grief, that is the psychological victory that they achieve in the face of physical defeat.
That's the key takeaway. The most crucial element from these sources isn't the supernatural power itself, but how these characters shed their old, destructive roles when they were faced with ultimate peril.
They moved past the things that define them, even if that clarity came just moments before the final darkness.
And the source material ends in that suffocating darkness, which leaves us with a terrifying, provocative thought based on Alfred's final revelation.
Wicked.
If the Blackwood Monument is not just a gate, but the archive of the forest's heart, the repository of its pain, its sorrow, and its vengeance, what kind of ancient, terrifying memories is this living, weeping entity now preparing to unleash?
What happens to a world that has already forgotten the language of the earth?
When the earth itself opens its archive of primordial nightmares and decides to speak with claws and darkness, that is the true scope of the tragedy they initiated.